Welcome everyone to another session of our Global Employability Expert Series. Today we have a really interesting topic, which is what does a recruitment consultant do and what do they look for in a great candidate? And this is brought by our expert, Abigail Stevens. So before we go into our webinar, let's remember how the webinar works. So we are recording this, and you can always watch it later on or share it with people you think may find it interesting. And we have, remember, our YouTube channel where you can find our previous sessions and webinars. Everything is there. So if you haven't subscribed that, do so. It's going to let you know when you can find our latest webinars. And please ask questions, right? We have the chat option and we have the Q&A option. So ask any questions you may have. That's the idea of our session, to take advantage of our expert and ask everything we may want to know about the topic. And if you have any question about your program, please reach out to your IEM. Your IEM is the person you have been talking to during your internship experience. So who is our speaker for today? So let's meet Abigail Stevens, who is a really interesting speaker for the topic we want to share with you today. She's the founder and managing director of Think Global Recruitment. Okay, she has 26 years of international accountancy and finance recruitment experience. She has 34 years of marketing experience, and she founded Think Global Recruitment in the year 2000. She has lots of experience in assisting accountancy and finance professionals, including more than 36 different nationalities. She will tell us perhaps if she has helped people from your country. She has helped them find new roles in more than 45 locations, and she has been helping professionals move from any location to around the world. So and she has hired over 100 recruitment consultants. So I think she's really an expert on the topic. So thank you very much, Abigail, for being here today.
No problem at all. Now let me just get to share my screen as well. So we'll go into that one. Are you seeing the right screen now?
Yes, excellent.
Wonderful. Okay, yes. So thank you, Marta. It's great to be here today. As mentioned, I do have over 26 years recruitment experience, and what I'm going to share to you are tips that I've learned over those years. I think the majority of you are currently at university or just left university, and what an exciting time it must be for you thinking about what you're going to do with your career. I, like many from my era, fell into recruitment. You'll hear that from so many experienced recruiters. However, in this day and age, we're also hearing a lot of university career guidance professionals suggesting recruitment as a career. And I want to share with you more about what would make you successful doing that, what we do, and all the ins and outs of being in recruitment. I'm also going to share with you today a bit more about then what makes a good candidate, what makes you stand out as a candidate in recruitment, to a recruitment agency, how to impress them, how to improve your CVs and get noticed when you apply, and how to do a good interview. Please do ask Q&As. I'll be a little bit generic for some of the stuff, because then you've all come from different backgrounds, as I can see, and there might be something that's more specific to you. And I could talk about this topic for hours, but I'm not going to today, because I'm just going to give you the higher level of it. And I'm more than happy afterwards. I'll share with you my LinkedIn, and I can answer questions you have afterwards. Feel free to link with me. But yeah, so why be a recruitment consultant in the first place? What's interesting about this career? The first thing is that we help people make life-changing decisions and life-changing moves. It is about improving lives. You need to look at it from that aspect, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that every decision we make is going to actually improve the life of all the stakeholders involved in it. And that is what comes around goes around when you're in recruitment. We also help companies fulfill their growth ambitions. To do our role, we really need to understand a company's goals, their culture, how they work, and what will assist them in meeting their plans. No day's ever boring. Our product, for want of a word, is people. And people quite rightly have their own ideas, emotions, and life lives can change. So we're technically working with one of the most volatile products that you could have on the market. And so this makes it so interesting. You also have to be really commercially minded to win business, source the best candidates in the world, find people that other people can't find. So the challenges are there that make it so interesting. Promotion opportunities are very clear within our industry. You can be promoted through different routes as well. You can either be promoted through people management, or if that's not for you, you don't have to be a people manager. You could take on more business development responsibilities or responsibilities in other areas. And as you do that, your title will go up, you'll increase your earnings. You can make your way up to being a director of a business. It has a great fulfilling career in as far as that goes. And then there's earnings. Well, earnings can be very lucrative in the recruitment industry. I will tell you a bit more about that later in the presentation. But for something that doesn't require qualification, further studying, it's all about the skill set and your abilities. It's a very good way to make money if you're good at it. And it's a really fun job. It's a really, really fun job. What I'm going to do actually is let Maxine, who's one of the consultants in our team, tell you a little bit about why she likes it. Bear in mind, we do international recruitment, so it's even more thrilling because we move people across the globe from one location to another. That has a lot of fun with it. Now, all being well, the YouTube link will work. We'll go up into full screen. Oh, can you hear the sound?
Not yet.
Okay, one moment. I'm just going to share
Yes.
sound if I can. Right, let's see. If I press play to let me know if you can hear the sound. If not,
Yeah.
it might be that might be one issue that we have. I don't think it's letting me do share sound on the Zoom like normal. Okay, let's go. Let's see.
Not yet. I think when you share your screen, you have to stop share it again, and select the share sound option.
Okay, let me just try that.
Yeah,
then, one moment.
and that's going to allow you to
Stop
let
share,
me listen to.
share screen. Yeah, it's not, unfortunately, it's not letting me do that. What I'll do is I'll just put in the chat the link to it, and you can all listen to it maybe separately. It's just saying that there's no option to share sound. All the best IT things are sent to try us.
Yeah, that's weird, because from this side everything is okay.
Yeah, it's probably just the permissions in Zoom in the background that aren't letting me do that. Certainly where I normally do it, it's not working. So. Oh well.
Okay.
We'll go back to the presentation. Have you got the slide on the screen?
Yes, we are seeing Maxine.
Okay, so the link's in the chat for that, and it's also on my LinkedIn profile. It's on Maxine's LinkedIn profile. She's a very passionate lady. She is a mother, and she loves the way that recruitment can give her flexibility to look after her daughter, spend time with her daughter, and she wraps her time around that. But she's also really, really passionate about moving people across the globe, giving them the opportunity to have an improved life. She made a move herself from Zimbabwe to South Africa, and she believes in helping others to have that experience. And also job-wise, though, she just loves all the thanks she gets. You can see on our website all the testimonials from people saying how wonderful it's been with us helping them move overseas. And that again tells you what being a recruitment consultant, some of our biggest rewards are actually then. Our biggest rewards are when we get those thanks. Okay, so YB1, let's talk about the role itself. So what do? This is very much higher level. This is a 360-degree recruitment consultant. So you can come in as a 360, which involves business development. It involves selling to clients. It also involves the candidate side and sourcing the candidates. There's also 180-degree consultant roles that you can get, where you might be just a resourcer or just a business developer. So different models in different places, but in general, if you're doing the whole thing, this is what we're going to be doing. So we're sourcing jobs so that we can fill them. We're taking job specifications and we're searching for candidates. We're screening, interviewing candidates, taking applications, interview preparation, hand-holding people throughout. But also in addition to that, there's things like advert writing, There's keeping up to date with market knowledge is really critical, and also becoming a bit of a marketeer. You really do need to be able to market, be very good at marketing as well. The hand-holding throughout is something that we do with applicants. If you're a good consultant, you'll do it all the way from the first day you meet them up to an offer stage, post-offer stage up to start, and post-start date. We stay in touch with our candidates for at least 6 months after, and then annually after that. So it's not just a quick fly-by-night thing. We're building relationships with people throughout, and the same with the companies we work with. In our case, I think Global Recruitment is 22 years old, and we still have a whole heap of clients that have used us for the whole 22 years non-stop. So it's about that relationship building. It's also, though, at the end of the day, a bit of a selling role. When we're sourcing to fill jobs, we start by selling to clients, selling us and our services, and telling them about why they should use us and why they should give us our jobs. We take the job specifications, and we also have to negotiate fees with the companies we work with. So there's negotiation skills in there. We also want to, when we're doing that stage of it, work out, using our commercial acumen, which are the jobs we should be working. There's only so many hours to the day, and you don't want to be working jobs that aren't going to actually lead to anything. So we're qualifying our clients as well and making sure they're the best ones to work with, the roles that people want, the roles that the company that's actually going to take them forward, it's going to move at the right pace. There's all these different things that we're always working out what we want to work with. Searching for candidates, well, that's all about finding unicorns. If a company can find a candidate themselves, they will. So we're finding the ones that they can't find. And that involves a lot of detective work, investigating, and all sorts of things like that. And that's quite fun in itself as well. When we're interviewing candidates, we need to sell to candidates. So you need to sell the job to them, you need to sell the company to them, and you need to sell, in our case, the location that they're going to be moving to them. It's not a hard sell, it has to be honest. You have to talk about all the pros and cons, because if you get the max wrong and they start and it's not what they were expecting, then they're just going to leave, and that comes back on you. It doesn't make them happy, it doesn't make the company happy, and that's not improving lives. And we do have a rebate period with companies, so they will be coming back to you for money if you get the match wrong, so you don't want to be doing that. We tailor our applications to companies. So one of the biggest reasons that candidates use us is that we know what the companies are looking for, so we can make the application look good for them, knowing what they're looking for and matching the two together. And then we're also speaking to the companies. We have that relationship, and we're in effect selling the candidates to them. So we're saying to them why they should interview this person. And it's all about building relationships, as I mentioned. So there is that sales element to it.
Abigail, can I ask you something to see if I'm understanding correctly? So you look for great candidates for companies, right? How do you, I don't know if you're going to explain later on, how do you find these candidates? Or is it something like, for instance, if I'm looking for a new job, I could reach out to you, and then you can also work with individual people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
no,
I don't know if we're
exactly
gonna explain this later, but just to understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a little bit coming up from that, but yeah, let me go into some detail on that. So we do multiple ways of finding these candidates. The first thing to do is make yourself findable, so that they find you. So there is the advertising that people see. There is also the marketing that we do. Depending on the type of candidate you're looking for, you do it with, you need to hang out in the area where they're going to be hanging out. So for us, it's accountancy and finance, so LinkedIn is a good place for us to be seen. But we also use all the various social medias. We've just launching into TikTok at the moment, which we have to be on our feet and look at where the places are people now are. We're on Instagram, Facebook, a little bit of YouTube. We could do better with that. We're on, obviously we have our own webpage, Twitter. So we go across those mediums. So making sure that people see us and they know who we are is a big thing. We run events. So like this webinar, we run webinars ourselves for potential candidates, and so they can learn a bit more about maybe the locations they're going to be moving to, is what we're doing at the moment as a series. So running events is how to find them and advertising those events, and then they come to you. And then there's the headhunting side of it. So this is where you can use job boards. So you can subscribe, we can pay for adverts on job boards and put ads on there, or look through the CVs on the CV libraries that exist out there. But we also have become a bit of a ninja at Boolean searching on the internet. So we know these special secret codes that help you find people. They help us drill down to find people that maybe other recruitment agencies can't find, or other recruiters in-house can't find. It's a bit of a ninja. Bit of a ninja.
Excellent, thank you.
So yeah, and so we're going to go through the skills of what you need to be a good recruiter. And yeah, so understanding people is probably the very, very critical one at the end of the day. We want to understand people so that we know and we can work out what's the most important thing to them, what's going to be what they really want to do, and in fact sometimes in fact I would say 9 out of 10 people that register with me come initially thinking about a location that's different to the one they end up in, because we get to know them. We sort of go through a whole checklist of, you know, what are you looking for and why are you looking for that, and digging down a bit further than that to say, what are you going to get from that, what's important to you, and then we say, actually, you know what, I think this other place might be better for you than that one because of X, Y, and Z. So sometimes we know better than they do what they want. Then we're going to guide them through decision making. So again, knowing people and understanding them is so critical, and what's important to them at the end of the day. Your candidates can have all sorts of different things that are important to them. We've got one at the moment, and to her, one of the biggest things is that she has a preconditioned medical condition. So wherever she goes, she needs to make sure that that's covered. She can get the right prescriptions, just things like that. It might be that we've got a family that we're working with and we need really good schooling for the children. And it might be that you're working with somebody who wants to go to a location where they know other people. And so you're delving a bit with and suggesting locations, saying, do you know people in this location? Would this one work? So the whole heap in there of getting what works there with that. Resilience. So as we mentioned on the last slide, there's a lot of sales involved in this, and with sales comes targets. And so you will be told by your business that you're working for what they want you to achieve. Now, it might be a sales target with a financial figure on it. It might be a quantity of doing things. You could have KPIs that say, we want you to make a certain number of calls. We want you to make a certain number of CVs out the door. You must have a certain number of interviews on the board. All of these different goals that they might have in there. We also have a KPI for the quality of feedback that you get. You can see a couple of examples there. And on our website, as I mentioned, there's lots, but you know, we say to our consultants that they must get over 90% on feedback from the candidates and the clients in the scoring. And at the moment we're sitting at just under 96, it's 95.97. And so that's across the board, across everybody. And this is being gauged, not just the ones we get jobs for. This, we are asking people that we've helped right at the beginning of the process. So you know, it's very important to have that. And as a company, for us, we want that for repeat business. But you need to meet these goals and these KPIs, and just sometimes things go wrong. We mentioned earlier on with our product being a person who suddenly might change their mind about what they want to do, their career. Halfway through the process, you get them the dream job and they turn it down. It can be, you know, that was what was going to get your target for the month, but also you were just upset because you thought you had the perfect job for them, and now they're saying, actually, I didn't tell you about this, but that's why I'm not going. So a bit of resilience and knowing how to pick yourself up after a bad day. The best advice I've got on that one for anyone who's in this career is to learn from it. Every time anything goes wrong in the career, you just learn from what has happened, and then you can think, okay, so this one didn't work because what? what didn't I ask at the beginning of the process that would have stopped that happening at this part of the process? And I can honestly say, with 26 years experience in recruitment, that 99% of the time it is something you missed, and you can learn from it. And it's very easy to say, oh, but I'd never have guessed that that would happen, but it can, and it's just learning from that and developing yourself from it all the time. Great communication. So the communication, building relationships with candidates and with clients, as we might class them today. When you do that, you also need to be able to communicate frequently and well. It's very important. And if you're going to find unicorns, those unicorns are usually being approached an awful lot. At the moment, we're being told that if someone's on LinkedIn, they're probably getting 10 approaches a day if they're good quality and if they're in that high supply and demand place. So you want your communication to stand out and for them to come to you, not anybody else. It's important to be pushing to make that right, to learn how to communicate, and then use your marketing skills to be creative with the way that you communicate, to get the attention of people. And it's not mass mail shotting, it's not any of that. You need to tailor your approach in order to get the best people. We talked earlier on about these marketing skills, making yourself famous. That's what you need to do, make yourself famous. Your company will do stuff in the background to market the company. It's people by people. So you need to make sure you stand out, because people buy people. We talked about the sales part. Being IT and internet literate is very important. Recruitment companies tend to have databases, and salespeople aren't very good at logging information, but when you've been in it a while, you realize how much you need to log it. You really do, because you learn from everything you put on that system. You'll remember every conversation, and you'll suddenly learn that you need all of that, because you're talking to a lot of people, and it can all merge together if you don't have that information there. And it's really key to have that information to deliver a good service to your candidates and your clients. Absolutely critical. Being creative with resourcing, and we've talked about how we're going to do that. You do need to be a detective. You want to be someone that's inquisitive for this role as well. And good time management skills. Time management, because you've got all these different jobs you're doing all the time, and it's very easy to become reactive to everything that happens around you. We're getting applications all the time from people non-stop, and the applications come through from LinkedIn, they come from LinkedIn Recruiter, they come in from your email inbox, they come in from other social media, and they're coming in from referrals, and they're coming in left, right, and center. And if you're sitting on your email all the time and your inbox and you're just replying to that, then you're missing the time to be proactive and getting people out the door and interviewing people. So it's just managing all of that and being really clever and using the tools and resources that you have. So yeah, it's very, these skills are some of the most critical ones. And again, I'm happy to answer questions if you think there's other skills there that are missing. When we get to the Q&A session, we can cover all of these things off. So the rewards. Rewards can be they can be varied. It depends on each individual company how they reward you. As I mentioned, I've hired over 100 recruiters. During that time, I've interviewed even more because we're very fussy, probably 1,000, and we see all sorts of different packages out there. The most likely one is going to be a basic salary, which is usually pretty reasonable. It's not over the top, but it's a good basic salary. Once you're experienced in recruitment, when you're training, you'll be on less, and then once you're experienced, you become quite sought after. There is a shortage of good recruitment consultants out there, so you will be sought after when you're good at it, and you've got a proven track record, and you will start getting really good base salaries. But for most of us recruitment consultants, what we're most interested in is the commission and bonuses, because we should be able to double or treble or even quadruple our basic salary through the commission and bonuses. It's very much a lot of our roles are based on what we achieve in bringing in success. It's a success-based role. So you know, if you're meeting your targets, your KPIs, then it will be really, really lucrative. And companies also usually make it quite fun. So there'll be various ad hoc rewards that might come up. A lot of companies these days will give you, if you're on the top billers in the company, if you're doing the best, the most placements, you're probably going to get a free holiday every year. So it might be a long weekend, it might be a team building few days, or it can be things along that way. It's not a massive holiday, but you'll get that. We have something called Objects of Desire, and that is in a quarter. We give, depending on what the consultant is, the equivalent of about £1,000 to spend on something that they really want. So they can they'll get, we've had all sorts of things like good watches, handbags, computers, stereo sounds, CV systems, things like that, where they go, yeah, I got that. The favorite again is holidays. I have to say, they want to have the holidays as well. And then we do ad hoc prizes. So there might be the monthly one. Whoever's done the best on the KPI competition gets a box of wine, got some champagne, meals out. So you can get all these other good ad hoc things that are quite fun that come up. We do like to have fun in recruitment, and recruitment consultants are the type of people that, enjoy these types of rewards as well. I didn't know when I moved into recruitment that I was motivated by this sort of thing. And when I first moved into recruitment, I come from a marketing background, which was more of the PR, advertising, corporate branding, and less of sales. So it took me, well, it turned out I was very good at recruitment. So it took me several months when the money starts coming in. And then I was going, oh, I quite like this. And,
I can see the motivation. I can understand why.
Yeah, so it was really good. And it can egg on people, and if you're good at it and you're doing it right, then you will get these rewards and really enjoy them. You really will. They are fun. Yeah, it's there's no barrier usually in that, and of course the rewards are the promotion rewards as well that come with it. But the best reward to me is definitely, and it's I love getting all of the extra perks, but then also the best reward for me these days is the when you get those emails or letters, or you talk to somebody. I do all the 6-month reviews with people we've helped move jobs, and sort of have a chat to them and see how's it now going 6 months in. And I love it because they're all so excited, and they tell you about how their life has changed and what amazing things have come out of this new job. So that is one of the really, really great rewards. But you can't say that I don't love all the other benefits that you might get.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's a side of the recruitment from being a consultant, what it does, etc. And I can answer questions. I think I'll go on now. What makes a great candidate? And then we'll come back to all the Q&As at the end.
Before we move there, I just wanted to know, what background or what do we need a specific university training degree to be a recruiter?
No, absolutely not. You don't need any qualification to be a good recruiter. Some companies do use university degrees as an avenue to see that somebody's got the intelligence or commercial acumen, that sort of thing, but an awful lot don't. I don't have a university degree. We do see, though, I've had some very good people recently that have done degrees in sort of HR, and they've decided they want to go down the recruitment side of it. Communications as well, but there can be a whole variety, and some people do come out, say, we've seen consultants that did an accountancy recruitment degree and wanted to become an accountancy recruitment consultant in the end, because they decided they preferred that people interaction part of it, but still had a bit of an interest in the sector they're recruiting for. But you don't also need to be an expert in the sector that you recruit for. I could recruit for any sector, but I chose accountancy finance because it moves internationally really well. They can get visas to move across the globe, and it's the international bit that I love. That bit is the bit that sort of fulfills my need. I could have gone to university and I didn't. I ended up working early, and some of that has also made it, made me good in running the business, I guess, from the entrepreneurial side. But having started work at quite an early age and done lots of different things. In our company also, if you've traveled a bit, then that helps. If you've moved a location, etc., then we have more empathy with the candidates because they're moving location.
Excellent, thank you. Well, we have a question from Rose who's asking, what are the main 3 skills employers look in a young graduate? I don't know if you're going to cover this now in your next section, perhaps.
Is that, so that's for more general or for a recruitment consultant?
I think it's like from when someone is looking for a job, a young graduate, what recruiters are looking for, what companies look for.
Why don't I cover that on both sides? So yes, from a recruitment perspective, if you're coming in as a graduate, one of the things that we would look for a trainee recruitment consultant, we try and look for experiences of where you may have had opportunity to work in the workplace probably, but if not, there might be other ways that you can get across to us how you've done things like influence others' decisions. So we ask competency-based questions where we look to see if you have the competency. An example might be, can you tell me about an example of a time when you've persuaded someone around to your way of thinking? And it, you know, that might have been it might have been when you persuaded somebody in you know, sort of in a work environment. You've been in a shop and you've sold something to someone, or upsold, or etc. You've worked for a car phone warehouse or whatever it was. But it also might be that you've done it in your university team when you've been studying, you've been in a group and you've had to do a group project, and then you've turned, you know, you've come up with an idea. And then we might ask similar questions that have been, or it might have been also like a family meeting where you're all going to decide where you're going on holiday, who knows. But having those examples and being able to do competency questions is really good if you're coming from university. They can look for leadership skills in that way. You can look for, you know, whether someone's going to be good at selling, if they can persuade people. We then might be asking about the project management skills and examples of that. And they're often top skills. And interestingly, I have done some recruitment for graduates in the accountancy field. It's not normal. We normally do the qualified accountants that have gone on after university and gone into a firm to study and then got their chartered accountancy 3.5 years down the line from there. But one of the big 4 firms, we did some graduate recruitment for them in the Channel Islands, and I did it for a few years. And when we did it, they would look for, they would absolutely look for they do look for the soft skills now. So it's not just the accountancy skills. You come out, you've got great accountancy grades, that's wonderful. You've got enough points from your school and university. However, we also want to see that you can work with people. You've got good communication skills. You are able to maybe deal with an unhappy customer. How you do that. So that's the persuasion again, because if you're an accounting firm, you're going to be you're going to be needing to talk to clients on a regular basis, and the project management skills, time management, project management, those types of skills. And I think they come up in a lot of jobs, but it really is going to vary between which role that you're looking for.
Excellent, thank you.
Cool. One of the jobs of a recruitment consultant is actually to be able to understand a job spec and work out what questions they're going to ask from the job spec. And we can write a competency interview very easily from looking at a job spec and having spoken to the companies and got a detailed brief. We can get what they're going to be looking for at interview and do the practice questions.
Awesome.
So, shall I move on?
Yes, definitely, please.
Brilliant. Okay, so this is what makes a great candidate. This is, I've done this from the angle of what really appeals to somebody that's working in a recruitment agency. So you would know how to impress the agency, because I do recommend, if you are in certain fields, to use an agency, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But first of all, do have a focused approach when you're applying for jobs. Do not scatter your CV out there. It does not go down well with future employers, and it doesn't go down well with agencies. It's really hard for us to undo rejects you get as well. So if you come to an agency and you tell us you've already sent your CV everywhere, then we can't really help, because the companies don't want to get the CV again from us. And We have had recently quite a number of employers reject candidates on the basis that they already had the CV several times. And they've said this person is not focusing a very important document and decision in their life. So be careful with that one, and be focused. And also, similarly, don't apply for several jobs at the same company, because they want to see what you really want to be doing. So choose your favorite one, apply for that. If you get rejected, then maybe you can apply for another one and say, look, that was really sort of my first choice, but I've seen this other role actually that's really exciting. And this one is exciting to me because, and outline why. But first off approach, don't go sending lots and lots of applications. It doesn't look good. The relative qualifications obviously is a given, you know, that for roles, if they ask for a qualification, you've got to match that. If it's an essential, sometimes it will say it's a bonus, so you can look out for that bit. Experience can really help. We talked earlier on about how employers want to do these competency interviews. If you have work experience, it does help. And I know some situations are really difficult if you had a very intensive study period. But if you've done any work whatsoever, bar work, whatever it is, part-time whilst you're studying, that can really help and enhance the CV. It also shows future employers that you're a stayer, you do jobs, you've stuck at it for a year or two, those types of things are important. Job hopping doesn't look good on CVs, and employers will reject people that have had 3 or 4 jobs already, which probably doesn't apply to many of you, but it might do. And it's all right if it's your university part-time jobs, but if you've been in a career before you went to university and you're a mature student, and later in life, remember that if you start going to job after job after job, then your CV starts to look hoppy, and they go, well, we're going to invest a lot of money in hiring this person. If they come through an agency, they have to pay us a fee. You don't pay us the fee, they do. But also it may be that, it costs them money to train you, to develop you, and the disruption of you leaving when you're part of a team, it always shakes a business up. So they want people that are going to have a bit of longevity in the role. They love it if you've been there for 2 years. I know that's not a new thing with younger generations. Can't imagine being in a job for 2 years. However, if you put it in the shoes of that interviewer, they're not always going to be as young, and they come from a background where they want a bit more longevity. I think 18 months is acceptable. And if you've got good reasons, and you've maybe had a job, this is later in your career, that was a couple of years, and then you've maybe done another one for a year, but you left because of you changed location, or there's a really good reason, then that's fine. That's all fine. But bear that in mind. It is something that still is a thing. Maybe in the future it won't be, but right now it is. So if we're a recruitment agency and we're looking at for applicants, we want to know that you're good at communication, you're going to interview well. Having said that, because we are aces at doing the practice interviews, we can turn someone that doesn't answer questions well into someone that does. So we just need to see the potential in that case. So don't panic if you're not the smoothest interviewer when you go to an agency. We can sort that one out, so long as you've got the basics in there of how to communicate and can come across fairly well, then that's great. The recruiter needs to feel that you have mutual trust and respect. A recruitment consultant is very likely to spend at least 20 hours with you, getting you through to that offer and acceptance stage. And they've only got so many hours a day, so they can probably, well, for us, we can only work actively 10 candidates at a time. So we've got to be selected at who those 10 are going to be. And the ones that we want are the ones that are open, that are honest with us, that tell us what's going on in their lives. We tell them what's going on from our point of view, and that respect us. And we can tell where that relationship is in the process. And if we feel that it's there, then we will work really hard for you. We will work really hard to get you interviews. We'll work really hard to prepare you for those interviews, to do practice interviews, to do all the follow-ups, and to make sure that you get your dream job. So do consider that. And if you are looking for a recruitment agency, I would say only choose one, because the agency will work far harder for you if they know that they're the only ones that are representing you. because again, they've got more chance of getting that, sort of getting you through to that offer stage and you accepting. If you're working with several agencies and you've got several applications out there and interviews going on here, there and everywhere, then then for the recruiter, then they're going to be thinking, well, there's a good chance I'm going to do this amazing interview preparation with them and that's going to get them a job through somebody else. And that's not what they want. So, choose wisely. If you are in a field and there is a specialist agency that specializes in what you do, I would say they're probably the best, because that's what they do. They specialize in what you do, and they specialize in finding the sort of jobs that you want, and that's what they're focusing on. But yeah, that is what we look for, what makes a great candidate to us as a recruiter.
Yeah, I really like that, something you said at the beginning, like the importance of, well, first of all, do not bomb a company with hundreds of CV for a job or different roles. I think that's very important. Sometimes in the well, we're so excited to find a job, we may think, oh, it is good if I just send thousands of emails to a company for all different roles, right? And you clearly said, don't do that. I think that's because I've seen many people do that, and then like, oh, maybe why didn't it work, right? And then we may understand why. And you also said these of, yeah, do not send also CVs to everyone, as in I could do any kind of job without not having a goal. So what can you tell us about the importance of having a goal and define what we want to do as a job, as a career?
I think that's a really good question, because you need to go through that analysis of what you want to do as a career and have a really good think about it, because it's going to make sure it will be noticeable throughout the whole process, from your application, the way you tailor your applications that you put together, because it will be focused for a certain career as opposed to a generalist. I can do all these things. You really are focusing on what you want, and it comes across interview. The interviewers will know that you are passionate about this area. This is the area you want. You've thought about it. You've investigated it. And if you're doing the scattergun and you're not thinking about that, you won't have time to do all your applications individually. Just sending a CV that's very generic to everybody is not going to get, well, you might get lucky, it might get you a job, but it's more likely that if you tailor your applications that you're going to get noticed, and you don't have time to tailor hundreds of applications, you have time to tailor a certain amount and do your research. And the same with the interview process, you only have a certain amount of time to do your interviews. I've actually helped, now thinking also about it, quite a few friends, children who are coming out of university, and I've successfully got them jobs, and they've said that that's one of the things that have been the most surprising to them, that they didn't know just how much research they had to do to get that job. And they've gone to these graduate schemes, etc., where they've got their uni and then they're going to the next level, and there's a lot of competition for these roles, and there's a lot of people, if you think who's in your class, they're all graduating at the same time as you, and they may be going for similar roles to you. So you have to do these things to make yourself look different, which does go into the next slide of how to search for a new role. So absolutely. As I said earlier on, the reasons why
I think you have a reminder that we can see from your next appointment. So maybe you want to just close it because we don't see the
sorry, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that.
Thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you. So yes, so sorry, just with an agency, the agencies will tailor their applications for you. So they learn what the companies want, they will get the application looking great, and they will prepare you for interviews knowing what the questions are likely to come up. So that's why I advise to use one. Not all backgrounds though are covered by agencies. It's usually, if someone's going to pay an agency fee, then it's for somebody they cannot get themselves. So if you're in a field where there's lots of you around, there's a good chance that maybe there won't be a recruitment agency that can help you at that stage, because the company will go do direct interviewing and direct applications. So in that case, think of the companies that you want to work for, and have a good thing. Who do I know is good out there? Who have I heard are good employers? What do I really like? What products do I like? What services do I like? You know, who's the optimum in doing what I want to do? And then make that list and have a look on their websites and see what they've got online and apply. Tailoring your application to what the job spec says. Look at that job spec and just see and tailor your application to that. However, if they don't have a vacancy online, you don't necessarily have to wait. You could actually go and look for who's in HR and send your CV to them and say, I really want to work for your business. It's an amazing business because of X, Y, and Z. I wondered if there might be some openings coming up in the future. So there's absolutely nothing stopping you approaching the HR team to ask if they've got vacancies, if you've identified as real top companies that you want to be with. Next thing is Google yourself, or before you apply, in fact, do Google yourself and just see what you look like on the internet at the moment, and hide anything that you wouldn't want a future employer to see or a future employer wouldn't be impressed with. And on the reverse of that, make yourself look good. So have a really good LinkedIn profile if you're in professional services, if you're looking for a career that's, you know, office related, etc. Then that's the place to be, or hang out where else you want to be seen. So it might be tech websites. Groups on LinkedIn are good as well. So if there's a group on LinkedIn that's relevant for your industry, get yourself into that group, comment a bit, get seen. You will move up LinkedIn's algorithms, and future employers will see you, and they might even approach you.
I have a question from the audience. We have two questions, actually. Someone is asking, how can I make my LinkedIn profile noticeable? And someone else is asking, what are the chances of getting a job in Europe when I come from Africa? Okay, all right. So the LinkedIn profile is my suggestion on that one is that use all the words that are available to you. You get a certain number of words on LinkedIn and characters, use them in the about you, use them on your profile of what you've been doing. If you've had any work experience, think about what a future employer in your industry would want to see, and put all that information on there. Think about at your title at the top, you'll see our titles and ours, and at the top you put something that might appeal to them. So, or might make you stand out. So seeking a truly amazing job in whatever, or wanting to improve people's lives through this, or whatever it is, something that's quite cool and catchy on that one. Do have a picture. Whatever you do, you need a LinkedIn picture. Do not go out there without one, and make it look business-like. Don't use the one you'd use on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. It needs to be a business type one. And then look at others. Look at other people, maybe in the jobs that you're aspiring to do, and see what they have on their LinkedIn profiles and get ideas from that. Okay. Africa to Europe, it all depends on what you're doing. We move people from Africa to Europe, and they are qualified chartered accountants or certified ACCA and CPA accountants. Usually from Africa, they're going to be the CAs. They've got their 3.5 years post experience they've done while they're studying. So they've done their degree. So they're quite experienced and they're quite professional. At that level, when they've got the professional core, we can move them to Europe. And this is a thing, if you want to move across the globe, is that you need to have a minimum of a degree to get into most countries. And quite often it's a professional qualification, because if that location can hire somebody locally that looks like you with your qualification set and experience, then they will not give visas out for people to come in to that country. There are some exceptions, like you can get study visas, and if you could get a CA training contract, if you're an accountant, for example, then you can do a training contract. You might get a study visa to then study in the country to get your professional qual, and then stay on in that country another couple of years, and then an employer will sponsor you. But the employers have to sponsor you if you're moving from a country you don't have a passport for, and therefore they look for a unique set of qualifications, and so does the country you're moving to. Excellent. We do have another question. Someone is asking, how long do you think a resume should be? I have been told to keep it things in one just page, but I have also seen other professional resumes with multiple pages. So I would love to learn more about it. Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that question, because we obviously see resumes all the time, and we love some and we hate some. We like long ones. And so do the employers we present to, not extortionately long. So my recommendation is put some nice tailored bullet points at the top.
think about the things that the employers are really going to want to see key very quickly, and you bullet point yourself in that. So a quick reader someone's getting 50 CVs a day, they can go boom, bang, bang. Yeah, that sounds awesome. And then below that, though, put some information in there and don't miss things out, because the readers aren't psychic. They do need to know what you've done. And if it's something that you've done that they are looking for, then they need to see it on the CV. You know, if you're coming from uni with not a lot of work experience, maybe 1 or 2 pages is okay. If you start getting work experience, then we're probably looking 3 or 4 pages that we see, but we do bullet point ours. We take the CV we get and we bullet point it to make it easy to read. At the top, we've got their overview, and then below we put some more bullet points in there. So that really does help it stand out.
Excellent. Another question we have, it says, I have been trying to get a role of a talent acquisition specialist, but it's been not successful. What tips do you have? What suggestions could you share?
Okay, all right. Well, you know, keep trying. I don't know where you're based, but do consider remote-based ones. There are you can get remote-based talent acquisition now, and resourcing type roles. Experience is often, you know, a lot of companies look for people who've already got experience in their field. So where you can get it. Maybe even volunteer. I've had a few people come to us and do 3 months work experience, so they can then put on their CV that they've done it. And in fact, we've then gone on and hired them. So again, if you were to come out and make yourself shine out, make yourself look different.
Based in Coventry.
Based in Coventry, great. So you're in the UK. So really, are you looking for in-house or are you looking for agency, I wonder? Obviously, they're both slightly different. An agency might be a route to get the in-house role if you're struggling to get in-house, to do agency first, or you know, otherwise keep talking about how you are passionate about people and you want to be involved in that area, and maybe even get a sales job in between, a part-time sales job or a sales job if you can, because it does, even for an in-house role, it leads into you know, being able to sell to candidates and source candidates is really important, but having those people skills it's what it's all about.
Yeah, I can do the agency first as well. That's
great.
Your reply.
Good. It sounds excellent. Feel free to link with me. We've actually just filled a couple of trainee roles, but we might be looking again very soon. So I'd be very happy to take a CV and I can have a look at it. There are some. I can also give you some links to some places that recruiters. We have in our industry something called Rec to Recs, which are recruitment agencies that recruit recruitment consultants, and some of them do get asked to look for trainees. So yeah.
So how can we connect with you, Abigail? You mentioned LinkedIn, so I imagine that our attendees have a beautiful LinkedIn profile. If that's not the case, this is the right moment to do so. So we, yeah, so just to wrap up, maybe you want to share some final comments and share your information so we can connect with you.
Let's just click through to this one. Here we go. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I am just Abigail K Stevens, my middle initials K, and Think Global Recruitment's the company. You can see the logo there as well. I hope you recognize that. And the picture at the bottom is my LinkedIn profile picture. They say have one where you can see the full face. I've had that one now on LinkedIn since it started, so I was one of the early adopters. So I did update it though, but with the same post. But yeah, so I'm there. You can also find me and the company on these other areas, but I would say LinkedIn's my most businessy like page. So link with me on there, and just bear with me. I get quite a lot of people linking and asking questions. I will get back to you. I get through the questions and I will answer any questions you have that, you know, I can do to sort of help you along the way.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I've just shared your LinkedIn profile on the chat so we can easily click on it. And yeah, I invite everyone to connect with Abigail and ask any questions you may have. So, well, Abigail, I'm taking many, my takeaways from this conversation are many, really useful. I really like what you said about being prepared for an interview and thinking of these competency-based questions, which I know we can Google them and get ready in this way of thinking past experience, how we can showcase our competence, right? How we can share and articulate our story and example that shares that we can do a certain job or certain activity. So I really appreciated that. And I definitely loved this idea of have a go, right? And think of what you want to do. Don't bombard. Don't start sending CVs and applications all over the place. Just and definitely, consult a recruitment agency whenever you feel that that's going to be really helpful for your career, and many other things. But I'm just taking the ones that I'm like, that's really interesting. So thank you everyone for having been here today. This was really interesting. For those of you who are doing your internship, remember you have 2 coaching calls that you can take to reflect more on professional development. Think about this, precisely how your internship is helping you define your career goals, what skills you're developing, what else you can do to make sure you are working on the skills and aspects you want to work on. And well, I will invite you to our next webinar. And thank you very much, Abigail. We will connect with you. And we are going, we have here the profile. And we are going to send this information. So we're going to send this email to you. If you don't get this soon, please send an email to internshipcoach@virtualinternships.com and we will send everything. Okay, but we will send anything anyway. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. And thank you very much, Abigail.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.